Josh Smith with GottaBeMobile.com. Today we're taking a look at iOS 7.1 on the iPhone 5S. This is a free update that's available on the iPhone, iPad 2 and newer, and the iPod Touch 5th generation. It brings a collection of fixes and a few new features. The first new feature is CarPlay, which is essentially a way of putting some of your iPhone functionality onto the dash of a new car. So this is available in 2014 models, so you're not going to be able to take this out to your car and just take over your infotainment center right now. We'll have some more details about if there's any way to add this to an older car, but right now it's something you're going to need to purchase a new car to actually use. Next up is new manual control for Siri. So when you use Siri, you hold your home button, and if you let go, Siri will keep listening and listening, and she'll wait for a pause, and that pause creates a little gap where you have to basically wait. You can lose some time. So now if you hold down hold down the home button until you're done talking to Siri, it will stop immediately. So you can hold down. Hi Siri, how are you?
I am well.
What is today?
It's Monday, March 10th, 2014.
So the difference there isn't huge, but we imagine if you use Siri a lot, you may see some performance gains just in your productivity from not having to wait for Siri to figure out if you're done talking. Next up are some changes to iTunes Radio. So if we go into the music app, one of the big changes is if we pull down, we can instantly start a station with this search bar up here. If we're listening to a station, it's supposed to be easier to buy music. You can just tap up here, and tap one more time to buy the song. The calendar view gets an update, so if you go into your calendar, there is now this list mode icon. So the third icon in up here, if you tap that, you get to see a list of your events on that day. So it's a nice way to quickly see what's going on without actually going into that specific day. There are more options to reduce motion blur. So in parallax, the background moves slightly as you move the phone. If you go into your settings, you're going to be able to reduce that a little bit more, and you'll see those settings show up when you go to set a wallpaper. You can turn perspective zoom on or off, and believe there are some more options in accessibility to control how much of that is available or how much you see of that motion effect. Now another new feature is HDR auto. So you can turn HDR on, so you're always taking HDR photos, or HDR off, so that you're not taking them. But if you want the iPhone to automatically figure out, okay, HDR is best to use right now without having to tap and possibly miss a shot, turn on HDR auto, and when it senses that an HDR photo is going to give you the best result, that's what it will use. Another feature that's handy if you use FaceTime audio or FaceTime calls is that once all of your iOS devices are updated, if I get a FaceTime audio call here and answer it, I would come back to my iPad later and I'd have 5 missed FaceTime audio calls, and I'd have to clear it. Sometimes you accidentally call the person back when you're trying to swipe it off the home screen. A little bit of an annoyance. Now that should not happen. If I answer a FaceTime audio or FaceTime call on my iPhone, I shouldn't have to clear it on my iPad later. Now, another big fix, one that is really exciting for users of the iPhone 5S, is that Touch ID is improved. So now, if you are using Touch ID, you can use the device, and you shouldn't have to worry about Touch ID basically forgetting your fingerprints. They kind of fade over time. We recommend going back in and retraining just to be sure, but you shouldn't see the same, kind of fade in like, hey, it does great for the first 2 weeks, and then if you retrain it, it does great for another 2 weeks. Apple hopefully has that fixed. That was one of the rumored features, and Apple has it in their release notes. Next up, if you've been using the iPhone or iPad and you're sick of seeing that white screen pop up when you're trying to make a phone call, take a picture, do anything, and you can't use your phone for 10 to 30 seconds while it reboots, that is supposed to be fixed. If it's not fixed, leave a comment and let us know if it's still happening, but Apple claims that it's fixed this iOS 7 crash issue with iOS 7.1, so we're really excited to try that out. Now, on some devices like the iPhone 5, the iPad 3, we're seeing performance enhancements. The animations that you get from switching between apps are sped up, and with that, you end up with a device that feels faster to use. And if you head over to Gotta Be Mobile, you can see the side-by-side comparison on the iPad 3 of 7.0.5 versus 7.1 to see some of that in action. The other thing that we'll see, or you will see, are a few new looks throughout the user experience, small changes to various parts of the device. So you'll see if you're making or receiving a call, you'll get a new answer screen here. It should pop up in just a second, where we'll see a small little change. So instead of a slide, we have a touch, so you can accept or decline, and a little new look for the messages icons there. So that is a quick look at what's new in iOS 7.1. You can head over to GottaBeMobile.com, check out more about this update and how it runs on specific devices.